Okay, good morning. This is Simon with TrADenPERFORM Coaching. It is Thursday morning, the 27th of June. Important disclaimer and reminder for all traders and investors. This webinar is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell any particular financial instrument. Equities, futures, options, and currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risks. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets. Do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in this channel. Past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Okay, we got rid of that. And okay, so a couple of things. First, let's get our profile done really quick. And then we will go to town. So let's see. Well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Hold on. Audio and video is good, correct? Make sure I turned off my video camera. I did. Screen done. There we are. Okay, so you can see we are clearly in balance. There's the overnight, dipped down into the low. We came back to test the 625 value area low, and we popped right back out from unfair pricing all the way through the range, back up into the volume point of control from yesterday, and back to unfair pricing from yesterday. So just kind of ran the gambit overnight, right? So the way that this looks goes like this. Leave the high up here. There's no pronounced hole, quote unquote hole in the profile that I can see, at least clearly. This goes away. Okay, so this goes up here. There's the retail settle price. You can see we went all the way down, all the way up. Here is the, get rid of this, volume point of control. Volume point of control. And two things, as Ron has reminded me, this high was set overnight. It's the likely target to take out the overnight high, establish a high during the U.S. session. That's that white line. And then the all-time, excuse me, actually, don't we have a, there we go. Okay, so this current swing high was set in the overnight session, right? So it's likely that the market wants to zoom up, attempt to take out that overnight high, so I'll leave that white line there. We'll just make it dashed. And the market tends to want to, according to lore, come up, take out the overnight highs to complete the auction, reestablish a new U.S. session swing high, and then it'll fail somewhere from up in that stratosphere, right? So, in addition to that, we have yesterday's low. Part of the problem with yesterday's trading was it was all inside the overnight range. That's never fun. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Retail drop fill, unfair pricing, single prints. That's right at the low anyways. We'd be looking for it there. And we'll swap these two. This goes here. next low. So prior day's low. All of this is overnight unfair pricing. This goes away. Right click. And the way I would describe this is the overnight unfair pricing. This is the overnight single prints. So I'll just kind of double color it. Alright, I didn't want to do that, but that's alright, we'll do it this way. There we go. So single prints, overnight unfair pricing, and overnight unfair pricing. Okay, there. So that's kind of what our chart looks like. It's a little bit sloppy because it looks like it's trying to put in like a head and shoulders in a weird way, inverted head and shoulders over these days. It's kind of summertime trading, but there have been opportunities. So I'm going to switch my gears to that. Let me get this printed. That's kind of what we look like. Above and below. Snipping tool, new, post, click, copy. Okay guys, posted this to the room. Okay, I've sent some of you a new chart, the rest of y'all will get it the rest of the day. So I'm going to touch briefly on this. Two things. This is really giving us, particularly to the upside, great indications of where to go long. Here, these are the, let's see if it's here. 50 cents should be identical, and where to go short. See, when this is turning on, you're looking for your algos. I just want to point it out really briefly, right? Over here we had it turn on to the short side. Up here, this doesn't reprint, right? Once it prints that bar, it stays, okay? Sometimes it can stay on for a long time, and you have to be a little more selective with how you get the short, but it does tell you where to start looking, and it will also, on many days, set us up for the long. Somewhere in here it did. One of these two did. Down here. Wait. Why isn't the long one turning on? Because I only have the short signal up on this one. Let's try this again. Here we go. So see back over through here. I want to show you this, and I want to show you last night. Okay. See when I drag this back over here. See how that indicator goes on? This is in Asia. You're starting to look for the long signal. Look at the reversal of what occurs on the reversal. Look how big that is. Okay. When you come over here. This is where it starts having you look. It's not exactly coinciding, so I'm going to mark it off. There. That's where it has you start to look for the long signal, right there. Okay, remember the right is faster than the left, but that's where that turned on, like it doesn't reprint. Here's where it had you looking for the short signal. Okay, I'm trying to get this done up here. That's where it had you looking for the short signal. It's important. It tells you that this thing's overstretched, okay? So now in addition to that, I've gone to the other side of the spectrum, okay? This is only for people who want it. You don't have to use it. You do not have to care about it. You never have to look at it another day in your life. It is a busy chart, okay? This is with great help from Daniel and Austin, okay? What this chart is telling you, see when it grabs that pink rail right there is a 20 period moving average on a 4-tick 50-cent chart, okay? See when it grabs that rail right there? When it's like this and it can't get above that thing, right? First of all, it bangs off of it. It is a fast chart, make no mistake, okay? But what I use it for, and the reason why it's important to me, is that when we're coming down, the first time we grab a gray bar with a point of control above, I know the next 3 pullbacks in general with swings. Let's call it 3 pullbacks with new swing lows. 1, 2, 3, and preferably that they have algos with them, or I go to my regular charts to look for the longs. That's where I'm looking for the trade. In addition, if it starts to rip up, see how it, and the clue is easy. Let me tell you, the cool part about this chart, this is the easy, everyone by the end of the day will have this chart, okay? The easy part about this chart is see how they're all bouncing off that 50-day moving average, like that 20-period moving average, sorry. See how it's all starts bouncing off that 20-period moving average? I mean, to the tick almost, right? It is just bouncing off that thing. It's barely going past it, maybe by 5 points, right? You do not want to short a market that is doing this. See this right here? It becomes another way to find out, hey, we're ripping. Hey, we're impulse moving up. I don't want to short it. Not only that, the first time underneath, now notice once it gets underneath and you get it's actually this gray bar with the point of control underneath, right? You will now notice that the rejections after rotations up, right, preferably with algo, right, start actually giving you a down rotation. A huge down rotation? No. But it keeps you out of this whole rip starting right here, right? Starting right there where it's bouncing off. You can see that it's gone supernova from 19,941 all the way up to 19,983, right? I am not even thinking about shorting till over here. Let me show you how this works over here. Now, where does it hurt me, right? Where does it hurt me? Over here, if I think this is short, I'm not going to get it, right? But again, if I'm looking for the long, right? If I'm looking for the long, look at the rip down. Okay, now how you integrate it into your own use is totally up to you, but I am using it as a tool. See when I get that extended rip down, right? So notice the time frames, it's pretty short, right? But these are the windows where people are getting stopped out because we're face ripping. We're going from 19,985 all the way down to 19,929. It's 50, 60 points. And when we start trending, so that everyone asks, and you can use it for actual trade entries and people who are fast. The purple bar stuff on this works very good after you've gotten a gray bar with a point of control above. The purple bar stuff in a 2-bar combo, to me, works very well, or an algo up, right? Doesn't always show up. But when we start ripping, I wanted to show it during the US session. Okay, so here we are in trend down, right? There's the initial rip. I can't get a gray bar with a point of control above. Now watch. Gray bar with a point of control above. I do nothing, right? I pull back. Algo up. Lifts. Now I want to tie this into my higher time frame charts. I'm not trying to turn y'all into a tiny little scalping chart, right? All I'm doing is this. When I get this mark right over here, right? I'm going to mark it off. Well, that's 10 minutes to the close. Shit, I don't want to do that. Let's go back over here. I want to show you when it goes vertical. There. Here. This is fine, right? It is face ripped. You can't get underneath, right? This is where we get underneath. This tells me where I'm starting to have two-way price action, right? I know when I get up here, I should start to see rotations up and down. See, notice the no rotations on the face ripper, right? Now I'm going to go, oh, on rotations back, on two things. First of all, I know this is likely to get bought if I get a setup, and that's 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to take this chart. Move it up to where it was, 10 o'clock. there. 10:01. This is the place where it gets underneath on that chart. Now, if you look at the rest of that chart, you're going to see two things, right? The first thing you're going to notice is, A, we are in an uptrend, right? No one's going to turn around and go, oh, let me short the crap out of that, right? But if you will notice now, rotations start happening. See that? So it took another 15 minutes until you finally got a break, right? So if you look at this chart, what would have you taken, right? What would have you taken in that mix, okay? So first of all, on the 24 tick chart, right? Pink bar stuff, that's Randy's chart right there. Pink bar with a point of control to the upside, and then stuffed. Those are the two trades that I would look for up here. Off the scalping chart, the 15 tick chart, right? When I look over here and I go back to 10 o'clock, right? What do I want? I want an arrow down or I'll go down on the second bar, right? Not the first one, not the second one. So through this whole process, I don't actually get a short on this chart. I want to show you. I don't actually get a short on this chart. I need a no supply, no demand, or an arrow down on the second bar. It just doesn't give it to me up here, right? So when I look up here, what do I get? I get the pink bar, which tells me it's overloaded to the left side. I get this green dot. This green dot tells me we're getting exhaustive to the top side. It just chopped all the way up there. And then if you'll look, you got the no supply, no demand on the second bar. That is becoming one of my favorite trades. I got to tell you, I would rather almost take the larger stop and get that no supply, no demand on the second bar than I would on the first. And the way you do that, by the way, if it's on the third bar, right, you've got this. So if you get the arrow and you get the no supply, no demand, make sure the second bar prints, right? But make sure you have a no supply, no demand or an arrow down, and make sure the second bar prints off of it. For example, if you get the arrow down here, make sure this bar prints before taking that chart. It will stop the stuffs at the top of the corner, right? So obviously everyone knows this entry here, and the reason why I like this entry right here, okay, I'm going to say it again. The stop on this is significantly smaller. I know that it stops sometimes, but my RR will increase because that stop goes from 13 to 20. It's 7 points. Add a point for good luck. Just put it at 10 points. It saves you somewhere between 5 and 7 points on every single trade. And I'm telling you, most of the time, if you look at this chart, when it turns, okay, when it turns, it is turning on the second bar up as a no supply, no demand, or one of these arrows on it, right? Second bar has no supply, no demand. Second bar has no supply, no demand. And when it rips, it just stays below it or above it, as the case may be, right? So some of you are going to find that chart too intense. I'm all right with that. Take it, wad it up, throw it in the garbage can, okay? Now, if you're going to ask me why I like it the most and why I'm distributing it, it's because there's some people in here who are very, very good at scalping. The stop on that trade, on that 4 tick, it's bigger than a 4 tick because of the way we have it. It's a 4x4, 4 tick, it's all kinds of messed with that chart, right? The stop's basically 5 points, okay? And there's a lot of people who are going to want to trade that. And in the pre-market, particularly in the European session, it works very, very nice when you get a pairing of no supply, no demand stuffed. And you can obviously add the channels, and it gives you a very clear direction of which way we're pushing at a glance, right? So that's microscope zoomed in. This is microscope zoomed out, right? So either way, this is getting better and better at being fine-tuned. Now, some people are going to ask, well, Simon, what about this? This was a turn. I had the no supply, no demand, and it closed behind it. So the pattern here is if you get no supply, no demand, it gets closed and it closes back in immediately. I want to state this so everyone's clear. You get the second bar with the algo, closes one bar up and closes back in. That is a re-entry with the same stop. Okay, let me see if I can find another example. Here, you get the arrow down. Once it gets stopped, you got to trap back into it, which it does with this bar right here, and then it rips, right? But that entry has to occur on the second bar, and what will it stop? 16-point stops like this, okay? Did I explain everything clearly there so that everyone's... can understand what I was saying? Because I will slow down and answer any questions anybody has. This is the time. I'm not going to start trading until after 9 o'clock anyway, so we've got all the time in the world. I'm going to check real quick to make sure my charts are on 3 days. Okay, Randy, if you get on the second bar down on the bigger footprint, right? If the second bar is you really want it on a one. So let me be very specific. You want it on a 1 bar combo, okay? Meaning you want it stopped by 1 bar and immediately trap back in. All the other combos require a lot of thinking, right? So what you want is I will find it. Here, see how you got the arrow down? It's stopped because you're going to stop it pretty quickly. Like it's a 7 or 8 point stop. If it traps back in, that's your re-entry, right? Let me find another example. There. See how the second bar is entered, stopped, trapped, released. See that? Entered. Right, you got some profit, but they stopped this bar out, then immediately trap back in, and that's released. It's actually a great trade. It just doesn't happen a lot, but you need to know what to do when it does happen. It's the same on the 15 tick. Okay? You just have to be focused. It's a lot of mental work to do it across multiple charts. Okay? I did not look what we have on econ today because I'm basically not trading until after 9 o'clock. Right, but it always has to be the second bar that triggers it so that you're not getting face ripped. And just to show you on this chart right now, see how sometimes, not always, but sometimes I might get anxious about this. See how it's face ripping like that? Right? So first of all, I'm not doing anything until I get a point of control below that anyways, right? But that all started at 8:30, right? The only place I might have made a mistake would have been I would have said this closed below. Again, assuming I can't read anything else in the world, that point of control below. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Symbol. Yes. So you can see it's a really fast chart, right? Look at all the bars it's printing. Like, I won't even look at this until after 9 o'clock. But I can tell you right now, I'm not looking at shorting this. Right now I will, like if we watch this when it comes back up, but that keeps me out of trouble, right? So let me tell you, you might go, well, of course it keeps you out of trouble. But let me tell you, if you're the kind of person that gets brain locked on a particular trade, you know not to even start. So look, if you start glancing, see how you got this point of control underneath here, right? Now I'm waiting for it to get above, right? And I don't mean above like this. I mean above, push back up. and then I'm looking for purple bar or some type of algo back to the downside, okay? And this is not a big move, guys, just so you're aware. This is 93 to 80, right? This is one bar in there, right? So this will only work for certain people who have a certain mindset. But what this helps me the most with, first of all, when you pull this in, right? See how you can see the angle of the moving averages really easy and which way we're pointed? We're obviously pointed up. So if you're a trend trader, right, when you have all these things pointing down, you're looking for a counter rotation to catch the trend in the direction of. When they all, so the green line's a 200 period moving average. There's nothing secret about this. Everyone in the world on the internet and everywhere else has this, okay? This effectively acts like a early warning system. So when it gets above the 100-day moving average, right, you are looking for pullbacks to get long. So, excuse me, the 200 period moving average. The green is the 50. Nah, I don't care about it so much. The 100 and the 200. When the 100 crosses through the 200, I'm looking for pullbacks to push in the direction of. So it is a momentum trade for sure. And I know once I start getting this 50 period moving average, when these, so there's two things. When these spread out, see how wide they get? And then this closes above all three of those after they've gone wide, I know that momentum is shifted to the other side. So like, I'd want this little pink bar to trade underneath that 200 period moving average and then get a retrace and then look for the roll to the downside. So I will be coaching the whole group on this. No one wants to do one-on-one coaching on this because it is just an observable thing. For me, this would have told me we're getting close to exhaustion, right? And the best one is once I get this underneath, see how big the push is? I got it underneath that 50 period, came all the way up. This is my speculative entry. What I really want is this and all of these to cross below the 2051, which is not that big a move, and then retrace back up, and I prefer it for the long instead of the short, given that the market that we're in, right? And that's that. I don't have anything else to add about that. I'll be watching it and I'll be noting it as we go through. If you look at the trades again, you'll see that the second bar, right? The second bar is the bar that gets the trade. So I just have to set up my hold on, I have to disconnect and reconnect really quick to set up these. Connect. There. And that is about as open drive higher as it gets, right? It's about as open drive higher as it gets. So keep that in mind. And now we'll see where everything lines up. And no, I am not doing anything till after the first half hour. Econ is Econ is missing clock. Pending home sales. Not a big deal, one way or the other. Again, what I want to show you, see how I know on this scalping chart, since I'm going to entertain myself, right? See how I know the market is to the long side? We came right to that 200, right? So purple bar stuff, this is like 4 points, if even that, right? But purple bar stuffed over here, like that stop is like 3 points if you just use the body. It's nothing, right? And then I get that face ripper from there. The RR potential is huge on this. If I can get it programmed, all the better, but I'm not sure I can. But you will see the purple bar stuffed, right? I'm not trying to short. I'm not trying to short. I'm trying to go to the long side, right? Why? Because everything's up. Like, so one of the things that someone asked me was, well, how do I know which side I'm trading, right? Well, shit, this is open drive higher. That's an impulse wave up. I'm not trying to short this. There's like no sellers in this thing, right? I'm not trying to short this, right? So all I'm looking for is one thing, purple bar stuffed. So purple bar stuffed, right? And purple bar stuffed. Now if I take this chart, right, and I come down over here, what would I look for before I start taking those purple bar stuffs? Well, I have a couple of options. First of all, I'd like to see a purple bar on the 24 tick before I even look at that chart. Or a pink bar out over here on the right side before I even start looking at that chart, right? A blue dot up, a pink dot up, anything that tells me they're pushing. It's not a, hey, I'm trading this constantly in a fevered motion all the time. It's, hey, I'm looking for my trade. That's all, right? Like right now, I have no shorts on. I have no desire to have any shorts, any way, shape, or form. It's too strong to the upside, right? I know this high is very likely to get broken, right? They just drove straight out of the gate. I know that's my kingmaker too, where I have to go. I know I'm above unfair overnight pricing. Why would I short that? If anything, I'm going to look for pushes back into this and longs out of here, right? So that's been one of the objections. That's been one of the objections, right? By the way, again, the no supply, no demand, if you were looking for the short on the second bar, is the release. Again, this is valid too. The stop is 90 on this, 91 maybe, right? So it's whatever that is, I don't want to short. I don't see it as short. I don't see any rotation down. I want to see a break. I don't want to donate money to the market, right? I don't want to be the clever guy that figured out where the 4 points came from on a straight move up, okay? So I am waiting patiently, right? I am waiting patiently. I'm going to let it settle, and then I'll see what it does, right? Open drive higher is never my thing, right? Open drive higher is never my thing, right? So I'm going to have to adjust to do it properly. Okay, and that is it. Let's have a good day. Let's let the thing settle out, see what she's going to do, and make some money, right? So see how I have the purple bar now? Right? And where do I want it? Near the bottom of the channel, not at the top of the channel, right? Free falling. And that's fine. Once I get everything turned around, right? So see this now here? Guess what I'm not going to attempt to do? I'm not going to attempt to catch that bottom. Why? I see how it's all the way underneath here, and I know it's probably going to reject right off that line and keep going, right? Just like that, right? I know it's probably going to hit that and cut right off, and now I know I need a bar with a point of control above before I start looking for my longs. That, my friends, was a 102 to 32 rip down, and I didn't get a single attempt, right? I was looking for the long, I would have been looking for the long, never set up, and now I know just to stay my happy self right where I'm at, right? So I'm all right. If I had the read wrong, and you say, hey, Simon, it was totally short, right? It was totally short. I'm all right with that too, right? I'm all right with that too. And then I'll have to sort out, but that helps me massively. See that? Massively. I know I've watched this pattern long enough now. I know I need a point of control above that bar. I know I do before I even start fishing remotely for the longs. So I'm not fishing for the longs at all. Not at all. Right? All the way through, we're coming down into unfair pricing overnight. What a whack job market this is. I'm sure it's roiling people. It's hard to read. Now I'm looking for a pullback. Why? Now I'm looking for a pullback. It's that 5 minute window in front of econ, so I'm obviously just very much in relaxation mode. And look if there's any Fed speakers. Two minutes till econ. And like I said, these reversals back up now, right, are not surprising. I'll show you again why it's important to me. Okay. First half hour is hard to read it, right? But tracked, above, I'm looking for the first pullback for continuation higher. That is my primary use of this chart. Okay? It saves me when we are ripping vertically down. Let me see if I can find, since we have 2 minutes here, I'll change the chart. Or not. Wow. I'm going to have to come up with a solution for this YouTube because the YouTube just really sucks up the, let me see how I'm doing over here. Yeah, so guys on YouTube, I'll have to be killing this after in the next couple minutes because it is just taking up too much resources. Here we go. This is why this is valuable. I mean, I want to find where it's harsh. Come on. Wow, it really doesn't like this. Okay, guys, I want to do the live stream, but I can't do it at the expense of my rim. So I'll have to figure out a solution for that. But when we start ripping down here like this, I know once we get above, on the pullbacks back below the second time, I get tradable moves back the other direction. If we're face ripping like this, I know once I get the point of control below, I can start looking. It helps with the precision of my trading. That's all I wanted to communicate. I've got to kill this until I figure out a solution for the amount of resources the YouTube broadcast is taking, but I appreciate y'all joining. And if you have any questions, just email me at Trade and Perform. And I appreciate it, guys. I will find a solution.